We're back, New Mexico, and we're going out of bounds with a little something special from the NFL. Guys, it's the best time of year.
It is. It is just like Christmas. And the three of us have very different teams, personal preferences. So right now is the best time of year for us. We get to see what might happen for our teams or what we really don't want to happen.
We're coming up with our own version of the mock draft. That's right. We're going to break it down. 31 picks, not 32 in the first round this year. We'll tell you why a little bit later. We're going to start it off. Okay, so Tyler, since you're a Cowboys fan, and sorry about that, but you're a Cowboys fan and you guys really ended up the worst out of our three respective favorite teams, we're going to let you get the ceremonial first pick in the 2016 U Sports Report mock draft.
So with the first pick in the 2016 U Sports Report mock draft, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Laramie Tunsil. He's an offensive tackle out of Ole Miss, really just an absolute animal. And these Tennessee Titans, they have Mariota, they have DeMarco Murray now. They just need somebody to block for him, guys. This guy can get it done.
Okay,
All right. DeForest Buckner going to the Cleveland Browns with the second pick in the NFL draft.
Well, you know Buckner's not a quarterback, right?
Yeah,
Cleveland,
I know that.
Cleveland always takes
But listen
quarterbacks
here,
in the first
guys,
round.
the Cleveland Browns, like Tyler said, always take quarterbacks in the first round. So if you guys are watching, here's a little tiny piece of advice. You just got RG3. You're going to need some defense. And if I know DeForest Buckner as much as I like to think that I do, he's just the guy to do that for you.
Okay, we'll see. You saw it there. All right, see San Diego Chargers coming up third. I'm going to give them Jalen Ramsey, who many think is the best all-around player in this. He's a safety quarterback, and they lost Eric Weddle, longtime heavy hitter for them, to the Baltimore Ravens. Look, this young man is great. He's going to fill in that spot for the next 10 or 12 years.
All right.
For my Cowboys, picking at number 4, this is the pick I hope they take. I hope they go with Joey Bosa, the defensive end out of Ohio State. This guy has a high ceiling. The Cowboys really need a defensive end to come in and step up after DeMarcus Lawrence and Gregory both going to miss some time at the beginning of the season, also with Mr. Hardy's departure. Hope the Cowboys go with Bosa at 4.
I hope they go with Bosa, too, because I think he's a bust. So, yeah, that's a good pick.
Jacksonville Jaguars, my personal team, taking Miles Jack, the linebacker from UCLA. Now, you guys, I will tell you, I will be probably the first to tell you that the Jaguars are thirsty for some talent on their line. Now they have a quarterback, and they've got some good receivers, but if they don't have a line, they have no season. So here we go, guys. Watch the show and pick who I'm telling you to pick.
That's right, because she is the expert. That's what you do. Baltimore Ravens, I'm going to go a little bit against popular opinion. I'm going to choose Ronnie Stanley, offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. I think they need some offensive line help. They've had a few guys with injury. I think this will help them really protect Joe Flacco and get a run game established.
All right, all right.
Coming up next, pick number 7, the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're going to go with the hometown kid, Jared Goff. Really don't think Colin Kaepernick's going to be sticking around too much longer there. And if he does, I really don't see him in favor of new head coach Chip Kelly. I think if Goff is able to get in there, sit a couple of games, this guy is NFL ready. I think he'll do well in San Francisco, especially being used to the weather there in Southern California.
All right, for the Philadelphia Eagles, Ezekiel Elliott. You guys know he's a running back. You know he's from Ohio State. He doesn't need me to tell you very much about him because he has made a name for himself in college and hopefully for the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL.
Okay, coming up next with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going to give them Noah Spence. He is an outside linebacker, a little bit of character concern, slight character concern, but guys can work that out. They're young kids. However, they need some pass rushing help. And this kid is really, really pulling it out and making it happen.
So coming up here at pick number 10, you know what? I'm going to throw a curveball. I'd like to propose a trade to you, Khalil. I know you're a New York Giants fan. I'll give you this Giants pick here if I can have the Saints and the Dolphins pick a little bit later on.
No problem. You can get the Saints and the Dolphins pick. I need to steal one from Kimbry. Kimbry, I'm going to trade you one right here because this is the guy I've had my eyes on for the entire time. Mr. Vernon Hargreaves. Look, ladies and gentlemen, he's a defensive back out of Florida. They're calling him the next Darrelle Revis. Yes, we'll have our own version of Hargreaves Island out there in the Big Apple, shutting teams down for the future as we go on to win a few Super Bowls.
All right, well, since he took Vernon from my pile of people, I'm going to go ahead and give Eli Apple a boost in the draft. He's not necessarily one of my favorite players listed, but he's got a lot of talent, and he's from Ohio State, so he's trained with some of the best in college football in the past couple of years. So why not give him to the Chicago Bears? He'll have a lot of room to grow and a really high ceiling to reach, so he's got some potential.
Hey.
I think the New Orleans Saints here are going to go with Sheldon Rankins. He's a defensive tackle out of Louisville. This guy can just eat up blocks on the interior. I think he'll be a great addition, of course, also with the passing of longtime Saints defensive lineman Will Smith there. Now moving along for the Miami Dolphins, I think they're going to take Deron Lee. He's a linebacker out of Ohio State. The Dolphins, they have a pretty decent offense with Tannehill. They have some offensive weapons, Lamar Miller, along with a couple of other receivers. Really think they just need to get this D-line squared away. And I think Deron Lee will be great as far as the linebacker position goes. You know they have Ndamukong Suh, who can just eat up the interior blocks. I think that's going to open up a lot of explosive blitzes for Deron Lee.
Absolutely. Jaron Reed from Alabama, a defensive tackle. Now, you guys, if you know anything about me personally, you know I'm a diehard LSU fan, so as much as I hate Alabama, Jaron Reed has a lot of talent and so much skill and so much room for growth. The Oakland Raiders need a lot in this draft, and if they're smart enough to pick up Jaron Reed, they've got a lot of potential for the remainder of their draft picks and maybe a good defense this year.
That's right. I'm going to keep this quick. Los Angeles Rams, Carson Wentz, quarterback. They need him. They got the man, Todd Gurley. They got Carson Wentz, whole new franchise quarterback to build off. Small school, humble guy. We'll see what they do.
I'm going to keep mine quick as well. Detroit Lions, I have them taking Laquan Treadmill, the wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Of course, the great famous Megatron announcing his retirement from the NFL this year. I think this guy will be a viable replacement.
That's right.
Sure. The Atlanta Falcons taking Kevin Dodd from Clemson. Again, not one of my favorite teams in the world, but Kevin Dodd, a defensive end, you shouldn't close your eyes on just yet, guys.
That's right. That's right. Coming up, I got the Indianapolis Colts, who need all the help they can get on the offensive line, protecting Andrew Luck by getting Mr. Jack Conklin, offensive tackle out of Michigan State. The kid can pass protect. He needs to become a little bit more of a beast on the run game, but that should help him out.
There you go. That's a good team to run with.
I like Buffalo Bills here to take Shaq Lawson, defensive end out of Clemson. Now, they just lost Mario Williams in free agency, so I think Shaq Lawson, another viable replacement for what they need.
Leonard Floyd, an offensive linebacker from Georgia, going to the Jets. The Jets need a strong offense, and Leonard's got just that.
That's right. He holds it down.
Go Dogs, by the way. Just got to throw that in there for Georgia.
Go Dogs. All right. Washington team needs Mackenzie Alexander, defensive back from Clemson. Look, Mr. Hall is getting old in Washington. They need secondary help. This guy's going to help them out a lot.
I like the Houston Texans to take wide receiver Corey Coleman out of Baylor. They already have DeAndre Hopkins. They have Osweiler coming in now as their new quarterback. I think Corey Coleman will be a great addition there on the outside, maybe even able to draw a couple of double teams away from Hopkins, which should free him up.
Sure. For the Minnesota Vikings, Josh Doctson, a wide receiver from TCU. Now, the Vikings don't have a whole lot in their running game, so Josh might be able to provide a little bit of speed just where they need him to.
Okay, Cincinnati Bengals need some offensive line help. They lost Andre Smith. They're going to get Mr. Jason Spriggs out of Indiana. He's going to help them solidify that line. Once again, if you don't have an offensive or defensive line, you're not winning many games in the NFL.
And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, just real quick, I want to throw a shout out to our technical director Javi back there for the Steelers. I think the Steelers are one good secondary away from reaching the Super Bowl. Therefore, I have them taking William Jackson. He's a defensive back out of Houston. I think that's going to solidify the back end there. Watch out for Pittsburgh this year, guys.
All right, and Pittsburgh did do some pretty big things in the playoffs, although they kind of lost that game for themselves. Now, the Seattle Seahawks, they don't need a quarterback. They don't need a whole lot, really. But a middle linebacker in Reggie Ragland from Alabama. Again, Alabama has got a lot of talent in the past few years, so who better to pick your favorite players from, NFL teams? Alabama. Take them.
That's right. That's right. He's going to make it happen. Green Bay Packers need to do all they can, once again, to protect Mr. Discount Double Check Aaron Rodgers. Taylor Decker out of Ohio State, another great pass-protecting lineman that's going to help him out because Aaron Rodgers got sacked a record time last year.
In Kansas City, they got Eric Berry back last year, just totally played lights out. Big shout out to Eric Berry, but I think they're going to go with some more safety help here in the latter stages of the first round. They're going to take Von Bell. He's a safety out of Ohio State. Could be a great complementary piece to Eric Berry back there in the secondary.
Fair enough, Von Bell. Arizona Cardinals, I'm giving you guys Ryan Kelly. He's a center, again from Alabama, born and raised, well, maybe not, but at least raised with the Alabama team. And, you know, when you have Nick Saban coaching you, you know you've got some kind of spirit when it comes to football.
That's right. Carolina Panthers, they have one speedster from Ohio State with questionable hands. I'm going to give them a fresh speedster from Ohio State with questionable hands because the one thing Carolina needs, they need to have a little bit more of some firepower. They lost Kelvin Benjamin early last season to an ACL injury. Devin Funchess started to come along. If they get Michael Thomas, now they have a guy who can truly stretch the field and give Cam Newton a powerful passing attack.
And here, the final pick of our mock draft here. I like the Denver Broncos to take A'Shawn Robinson. I think they need to fill a hole in the middle of their defensive line because Malik Jackson did leave here this offseason. I think A'Shawn Robinson, just an absolute monster in the trenches. I think he'll be able to eat up those blocks just like Malik Jackson did, which lets Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, all the other great guys they have on that defense get one-on-one edge rushing.
And I'm going to put Paxton Lynch right here as a possible. He's a quarterback coming out of Memphis, big, tall guy, kind of like athletic, kind of like the guy they just let go, Brock Osweiler. Look, pick this guy up, put him on the bench, let him learn behind Sanchez. Sanchez gets a couple butt fumbles. You throw him in there. Just sprinkle some of that Elway magic on him, and soon they're going to be back in the playoffs in no time. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. You have it. Our fantastic mock draft here at the Youth Sports Report. Let's see if we're right. Let's see if we're wrong. Whatever, football season is coming, and that's always a good thing. Coming up later, we've got more for you on the Youth Sports Report.